Hi, hello, hello, hello. I don't often broadcast. Actually, I think this is my first YouTube exclusive broadcast. So I'm really excited to have the opportunity to kind of focus on my YouTube family, to get to know you a little bit more, to get to serve you a little bit differently than I have previously with just exclusive Facebook content. So just in case you've not met me or seen me before, my name is Abby. I run AB Tarot Reading. I am a tarot reader, card slinger, card aficionado. I'm also a, what would you call it? I'd call myself an entrepreneur. So I'm also that person as well. Hi, hello. So what the game plan is for this evening is to do a full moon community reading. That is what I'm focusing on today for us. Oh, you have some questions. Thank you so much for your questions, Sweet Pea. But will you first let me know, one, that you can hear me, that I look clear, two, that you can hear me, that my audio is coming in just fine. That helps me know that everything is coming together. Hi, oh, I don't want to butcher your name. Is it Jo? Hold on. She. How about we just say the Aquarian goddess? We'll even put some drag on it, not like. I am doing very well. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you've already subscribed. But yeah, let me just go ahead and clue you in, Huns. I'm pulling a spread from my Cycle of the Moon tarot journal. It's a journal that I love working from, especially with every Joshika. Thank you, my dearest. I appreciate that phonics pronunciation. I appreciate that so much. But what we're doing is that we're working on a full moon reading. This is a community style reading. And the way that I like to do these is I present them in kind of a community format. So what does my community need to know? What do the people that have come to visit with me this evening, what do they need to know regarding this full moon cycle, this cycle of the moon, this session for the 30 days of this full moon energy. So if you don't happen to already know, when it comes to the full moon, when it goes from full to new, this is a really good opportunity to let go of things, release things, purge yourself of things that no longer serve you, no longer take care of who and what you are. And this is something that I love to use come every full moon. So one of the spreads that I have is releasing blockages, and it's on page 30 of my favorite little notebook here. And so the questions that I'll be pulling on is for question number one, and card space number one will be, what is our current focus? This is community wise. What is our current focus right now? Question number two is, what are we holding on to? So as a collective, as a society, as the people who've come to visit with me today, what are we holding on to? Question number three is, why do we refuse to let this go? Have you ever asked the question of why you do the things that you do? I'm asking it today. So for question number four is, how do we release this habit? Because it is a habit. It is something that we do on repeat. It is something that we do over and over again. Question number five is, how do we heal this habit? So how do we make it better? How do we make it a little bit easier? And question number six, the last card, will be advice moving forward. Because, you know, it's really nice to have a little bit of advice coming through. But yeah, please, if you've come and you're new, if you're new to visiting me, please feel free to say hello. Please feel free to let me know that you're here, and let me know how this reading resonates for you, either right now or when you come and visit later on, when this is in the channel. So I've decided, I think I'm going to use, wait, hold on. I'm kind of in the middle of changing my mind. I'm not going to change my mind. I'm going to use the Afro Tarot is the set of cards that I'm going to use today. And to me, this is just me kind of like tapping into my heritage and tapping into my culture, and I'm a little bit in love with all this goldness that's a part of the cards. So we're just going to use these today. So normally when I'm doing service, I often shift the camera to be above head so you can see my cards. But for now, we're just going to keep it right here facing me, and I will lay out the cards, and then I will share them, and I will show them with us as we progress forward. Oops. And I just so happen to be throwing cards all over the place. How fun is that? All right. So, hey. See, those are like excited cards. Those are fun to work with. So releasing blockages. What is it that my community needs to understand for this full moon cycle? What cards? Oh my gosh, they want to join us so much. Or I have terrible shuffling skills right now. Either way, either way. So we're releasing blockages. What does my community need to know? What blockages do we need to release? All right, here we go. feels complete. So I'm gonna lay my first card down and then we're gonna go through the cycle. So I'm going from the top, it's in a circle. So the top card is question number 1, and then to the kind of like on a clock, except going counterclockwise. So we're going number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. So just 6 questions, just 6 cards. If I have some confusions, we'll pull some more. So yeah. All right, my dear sweet peas. The cool thing is that a card that showed up for me when I was just even thinking about doing this read was the 7 of Pentacles. I don't know if you've ever seen this card in regards to either like the standard Rider-Waite-Smith or the Afro Tarot, but the 7 of Pentacles talks to us a lot about growing and allowing and patience and planting the seeds that are going to show up for you at a later time. So when it comes to just even thinking about how this spread is going to show up for us, it's going to be a little bit about patience. So how is that as a way to start? It's like hurry up and wait is the ordeal there. Already. Go figure, huh? So what is our current focus? Our current focus right now is the Chariot. So the Chariot to me talks directly about wanting what we want and wanting it now, wanting it fast, wanting it instantly, wanting what we wanted. And why isn't it happening fast enough? Why isn't it coming to us in the way that we have pre-described? One thing I love about this card in particular is, one, that headdress is glorious, but look at that seating. There's no one in the seat. So he is pulling the seat. He is going to his location. He is the driver of his energy, his force, his whatever label you want to attach to it. He is in the driver's seat, even though he's not in the seat. Do you get that distinction? And if not, totally let me know. I have no problems in explaining. So that is our current focus, is this desire to have what we want when we want it and fast, like now. So what are we holding on to? What are we collectively holding on to? So how interesting is that? For me, that is the Devil card. So that for me is, or the way that I think about the Devil is the things that kind of puppeteer us, the things that kind of yank on our strings and yank on our who and what we think we are and push us around and kind of toy with us. I think of it like a puppet and a puppet master. So the things that we're holding on to, I feel like, are things that we feel like, or we have allowed to control us. Is that substances? Is that addicted to being busy? Is that gosh, there's so many things. I'm even thinking about myself right now. So in relation to an Abby, I'm thinking about how I often let other people control my time, or I let other people control, even like accidentally, like something will happen and then my brain shifts and then I'm only focused on that. And so I'm giving away a lot of power when this card shows up. I'm giving away a lot of my own personal energy when this card shows up. So I'm wondering if that is kind of the way for you as well. It's like giving away, allowing ourselves to be manipulated, allowing ourselves to be puppeteered, giving that aspect of ourselves away. So for question number 3 is, why do I refuse to let this go? Queen of Cups. When it comes to the Queen of Cups, she to me is forever the woman who doesn't want to let anyone down. She doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. She has the rose-colored glasses. She's the eternal nurturer. She wants to hold up to her end of the bargain. She wants to do what's right by others. Completely and thoroughly understood. But sometimes it drags us out, and not having boundaries wears us out. So while we love the Queen of Cups, we love all that she represents, we love what she brings to the table and who she is as a mother, as a woman, as a XYZ, whatever label you want to attach to it. But it feels like there's already the need for boundaries. There's already the need for, ownership and accountability and boundaries. This is how I will allow myself to be treated. Love you. Thank you. This is still my line. And when anyone comes closer, anyone crosses, hold on, let's go back across the line. Thank you so much. Love you bunches. And then you continue on. All right, so for question number 4, how do we release this habit? So how do we release this habit? I have the 2 of Cups. So I feel like with the 2 of Cups, often when this card comes up for me, it is about communion and connection and conversing and the joining of forces. So my first thought, even thinking about this, is talking to the people who you feel like you are being over-nurtured to, that you feel like is manipulating or puppeteering you in that Devil card. So having that quick conversation. Hey, Coach Hustle. Having that quick conversation, having that you know what, sweetheart, we need to chat. We need to get very clear about this, because what was working isn't working. And that's okay. I still care about us. I still care about this conversation, this relationship, this dynamic, this responsibility. I don't want to let that go, but the way things are can't stay the way that is. Can't stay. That can't be the way it is or how it's always going to be. So that is the Two of Cups. So for question number 5, how can we begin to heal this habit? Oh, Ace of Cups. So for me, the way that I think of the Ace of Cups in relation to all of this is remembering our heart, remembering those feels. How do you get clear without being offensive? That is a beautiful question. Let me hop right back into that because I really want to talk about that. I had that experience today, actually. So yes, we're going to talk about that, sweetie. So when it comes to the Ace of Cups, that is, for instance, this will part of answer your question, coming back to the I statements, coming back into the heart, coming back to the way this makes me feel is, I have this feeling of, and help me understand. So it's going back to our heart. It's going back to a heart-focused center to remember and remind yourself how you feel the way you feel, why you feel the way you feel, what is your priorities, not the plural, singular. What is your priority? What is the most important thing to this heart? Remembering that, and then enforcing that and make that part of the lines. For example, if doing art the way that you feel fit is super important to you, and then having your commissioner or whoever is commissioning your art piece say, oh, can you do this, what to it? You're like, I love you and all. Thank you so much for your contribution to my work and to my effort. But this is my heart being laid on the canvas. This is my page. If you don't like it, thank you. I appreciate it, but no, thank you. And so it's sometimes it's uncomfortable, but it is very possible to say no graciously and say no politely and say a million other things. And again, Coach Hustle, we will totally come back and talk about that question. We'll totally come back to talk about that. So advice for all of us moving forward. What's the Page of Wands? I love that this is kind of like ended up on the Page of Wands, because this to me talks to all of us about how we're always evolving the skill set. We're always figuring out what this means. We're always figuring out what to do. We're always figuring out what is important to us now. This particular page often, especially in the Rider-Waite, has a focus on his wand. So he's looking at his energy, his focus, his idea, whatever it happens to be. He's intensely focused on that. And so for me, advice moving forward is that we're always going to be looking at what is most important to us now, and then later, and then again a year from now, and then 5 years from now. So this is something that is going to be a continual thing we need to look at, continual thing we need to chew on, a continual thing that we need to evaluate, because our priority is always going to shift, change, and evolve. And so we have to be willing to defend and support it so that we can keep it a priority and not allow it to be just that thing that we thought, that we dreamed, that got taken away from us because part of us allowed it to go away. So, Coach Hustle, just to answer that question directly, I hope you're still with me, sweet pea. How do you get clear without being offensive? So I'm going to split this part into 2 parts, because the first part is the without being offensive part. To me, that makes me think that we worry about the way in which our information is being received. Now, while it is our job to be kind as humans, right? It is our job to be kind. We have been taught and raised with, don't be an ass, don't be rude, don't be completely crass. Not an Abby though. Be polite, be kind, be loving, right? However, we can't always control how somebody else reacts. And we can't always control how somebody else feels. So it then becomes our responsibility to be clear and clean as much as possible, as kindly as possible, as low tone, as short sentences, as using I statements. So not saying you, because that's way off-putting, right? So use I statements. I feel like when this happens, I feel disrespected and ignored. And nobody can take away your experience of something, just like you can't take away theirs. So when you say, this comes off to me as though, or I feel like this, nobody can say, because your experience is your own. Nobody knows what your experience is unless you you speak it. So how to do it and not be offensive? First off, we have to not worry about being offensive. We probably are going to piss people off. We probably are going to annoy someone or hurt someone's feelings, because putting boundaries where boundaries have not existed before is going to be off-putting. Like, people get a little weirded out by it. However, that is the surest way I know to garner respect, is to defend and honor your own boundaries in relation to people that you care of, in relation to people that you're just getting to know, in relation to people that you respect. Boundaries are so bleeding important. So just want to make sure that I'm answering the question. How do you get clear without being offensive? So as I mentioned, short words, I statements are really useful. Don't say you, don't point, and keep the low tones. Because a lot of the way in which language is translated to others is through the nonverbal communication. So if you are up and animated and loud and abrasive, it is really hard to listen to that with an open head and open ears. But if you use low tones and quiet voice, short words, I statements, someone is more likely to lean into that and like, oh, and maybe have an offering, maybe an explanation, maybe a like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know that. And then you can begin having a dialogue or having a conversation. Or you can have the whole flip opposite of that. You can have someone that turns into a complete ass, and now you know where they stand. Now you know who they are. Now you know what you're up against and what to do moving forward. That may be like, we don't do lunch. Or you don't come to the house, or whatever it happens to be, or we talk to each other through this low mode of communication only and nothing else moving forward. But I hope that answered that question, Coach Hustle. I wanted to make sure that I answered it directly. But if you have any other questions regarding anything that I talked about here, please feel free to let me know, because I want to make sure that the reading made sense, that the information contained within made sense to you. And I feel like it did for me. Because I know for me personally, in listening to Releasing Blockages, I'm trying to personally re-garnish or re-harness control over my time. And that is really important to me. Time is the most valuable resource, and in a way, the most limited resource, and in another way, the most abundant resource. So it's like, if you think about it, that's the one thing you can't get more of, the one thing you have so much of, the one thing that you can't get, but you can only spend. So it's like, time is so important to me. Time is so important. So I'm remembering, for me personally, what it's like to re-own and control my time. So yes, you all, thank you so much for hanging out with me while I do this, what was it? Full moon. Oh, such a hard word. This full moon reading. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for my first YouTube exclusive live. It was fun to chat with a couple of y'all that showed up. If you have any questions moving forward, please feel free to let me know. Let me know. And also, I love letting people who come to these know about new things that are coming down the pipeline. This journal has been doing it so well for me that I'm creating a volume 2. So that is going to be 24 new spreads for full moon and new moon journaling, reading, self-development, that's the word, and exploratory, what have you, via tarot. So we'll sample those spreads as things continue forward. I will share the book covers as things move forward. I will even allow some of members of my community to try out some of the spreads personally. Those of y'all that are readers, those of you that kind of sling cards on your own, y'all will be my sample house. Y'all will be helping me out in regarding making sure that these spreads are useful and meaningful and valuable to anyone who uses them. So you all take care. Have a great rest of your evening and enjoy this full moon. Take care.